So yesterday, Manchester United lost 2-0 to Hull City. First game of the season in an early kickoff in the English Premier League. Manchester United were unable to hold on to the physicality of Hull City, and they succumbed to a 2-0 humiliating defeat in a Premier League opener. This is ASK Morgan Sports, and we're here to give you all the various dynamics of that game, show you how Manchester United ended up in that precarious, avoidable position in the Premier League. Now, Michael Carrick started the game with a very questionable lineup. I've seen a lot of fans talking about the lineup, but from the back, I don't think there was a problem with Senna Lamens, Nozier Mazraoui, Harry Maguire, Aiden Heaven, Luke Shaw, obviously the only left back option. But I have a big question mark there. Andre Santos, Yuri Telemans, Bruno Fernandes. Then the problem started. Brian Mbeumo on the right, Matheus Cunha centre forward, and Patrick Dogu left wing. What we all need to agree is that Patrick Dogu is a squad player. He cannot be an important player for Manchester United. He started yesterday because probably a certain Amad Diallo got injured along the line. If Amad was fit, I'm very certain Amad would have started from the right wing, and Brian Mbeumo would have started from the centre forward position. And that is very, very important. However, why Matheus Cunha is starting as a false number 9 should not be alarming to anyone. He has always been playing as a false number 9 in his entire career. In Atletico de Madrid, he was playing as a false number 9. In the just ended World Cup, he was playing as a false number 9. Don't get alarmed when you see him playing as a false number 9 because it is part of his game. He delivered to Carlo Ancelotti's Brazil in this World Cup, scoring significant goals for the Seleção. And for that matter, we cannot downplay the fact that as much as he's a good left winger, he can also play as a centre forward. So all of the people fuming about it, I openly disagree with you. I think he can still play in that position, and so it should work. But the reason why in this particular game and in Manchester United he cannot play, I would come and analyze that. I think that Manchester United as a team are lacking a lot of ball carriers, especially when there isn't Amad Diallo in the team. Matheus Cunha is Manchester United. Probably Matheus Cunha and Amad are the two best ball carriers in Manchester United. The two players who can move the ball from the progressive phase through the penetrative phase to the final third. These are the two players who have the skill sets to move the ball along. And so when you play such a player in a number 9 position with his back to goal position, you take him off the space in which he can use his creativity and drive the ball forward for you. And so most of the time you wouldn't be able to dribble and then create space and create opportunities for yourself. And so on that level, I think it wasn't profitable to start Matheus Cunha as the centre forward, because when he started and Patrick Dogu's directness and all of that, the game became very raw. We didn't have the needed creativity in the game to survive. And for me, I think that was a big problem for Manchester United throughout the first half. Even throughout the first half, Matheus Cunha had to drop back, receive the ball, and push forward. And that is a very, very big problem. I think Michael Carrick should be wary of that. Choose the games he wants to play him as a centre forward. You may choose those games carefully and make sure that before he plays him as a centre forward, Amad should definitely be on the pitch, or there should be other ball carriers on the pitch to do so. That is why when Rashford came in from the bench, he became important. He played significant role because he was able to take the ball, carry the ball forward, push the ball forward. And for me, that was what Manchester United was lacking throughout the team. And so that is the mistake I saw in Michael Carrick's lineup. Maybe he didn't get it wrong because he played him as a number 9. He got it wrong because his team didn't have a ball carrier, and putting Matheus Cunha in that number 9 position wasted his efforts, his skills as a ball carrier. And that affected Manchester United so much in the game. Now, There are questions about Sesko. Why, when Manchester United was losing, they did not bring on Benjamin Sesko earlier. So you see, if a player is returning from injury like Benjamin Sesko, it is the medics who determine how many minutes he is able to play. And so the medics will determine that, okay, based on his fitness and the kind of training he's been able to do throughout the week, he can only play maybe 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and in the case of Benjamin Sesko, he couldn't have played more than 30 minutes, and so he was guaranteed a minimum of 20 minutes and maximum of 30 minutes, and that is what Michael Carrick did. He had to stay within those means, stay within that time frame, and so he couldn't have risked it because the Premier League had just started, and there's a whole season beyond even the Premier League, Champions League, all other trophies involved, and he needs the fitness of his number one striker to pursue this particular season and all of the trophies involved. And so for that matter, there wasn't any issue with the time Benjamin Sesko came on. As for that one, we need to make that concession. But on Patrick Dogu, we would have to accept that if Patrick Dogu is not good enough, if Manchester United has an injury with Ahmad, and Patrick Dogu is not good enough to play against newly promoted Hull City, then he's not good enough to play for Manchester United. We could make that argument and come to that consensus that if, as a squad player in Manchester United, if there is an injury situation with a winger and you are brought in to come and play against Hull City, who are playing their first match in the Premier League after being relegated for a while, and you are not good enough to match them, then you are as well not good enough to play for Manchester United. You are not good enough to play in the Premier League, much less for Manchester United. And so for that matter, maybe we could discuss that probably the squad depth of Manchester United is questionable. We thought the attack was potent, it was complete, it was definite, but from the Dogu understanding, I mean, maybe there's a problem there. Maybe we can come to that understanding that there's a big problem with the squad depth. I mean, so if a player gets injured, the person coming to replace him, the gap between the injured player and then the player replacing him is too huge. That's a problem, because once that player gets injured, your quality reduces from, let's say, Manchester United to, say, Everton. That is a problem. But what is the problem that we see? To me, Manchester United faced a very significant problem yesterday, and it has been overlooked. I'm very worried it has been overlooked. Now, Manchester United has always struggled to play against teams that sit in blocks. So teams that are defending aggressively, Manchester United find it difficult to pick up pockets of spaces in between them and then play them out to create chances and score. That is why Manchester United scores so much on transitions. They score so much on counter-attack. They use space. And that is why Brandon Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha, Benjamin Sesko, Amad Diallo, Patrick Dogu, Marcus Rashford, that is why they basically have pacey attackers. Now my point is, if teams are sitting in blocks, teams are defending deep and low, Manchester United cannot play them out because they lack the creativity to find those small spaces. They lack the technique to find those small spaces. And that is why Manchester United, in filling up their midfields, what Michael Carrick understood to have been the solution to that problem is to buy technical midfielders. So they've bought Yuri Telemans, a very technical midfielder, Andre Santos, an energetic technical midfielder. He has the energy and he's technically gifted as well. So he gives you line-breaking passing, and then he also gives you lots of interceptions in the game. These two central midfielders, so that Manchester United can play in a coordinated possession game in central areas. But unfortunately, from what we saw yesterday, we learned that Manchester United could dominate. They could give Manchester United that dominance. They could give Manchester United that free-flowing football. But they will not be able to guarantee Manchester United chances to create chances for Manchester United, to create clear-cut chances for Manchester United. And for me, that is very, very significant as far as Manchester United is concerned. But last season, there's a trick to this particular perennial problem. The trick is that Manchester United found a way to survive that challenge last season. So last season, Manchester United played with a certain Casemiro, Luis Enrique Casemiro. And Casemiro scored a number of 9 goals last season as a defensive midfielder. He scored 9 goals last season, and most of his goals were from headers and set pieces, which taught you that if Manchester United cannot create chances from open play, then they will create it from set pieces and then use crossing to reaffirm their transitional game. Now Casemiro has left. I was thinking Manchester United will sign a player who will give Manchester United that same aerial dominance that Casemiro was giving Manchester United. But no, they didn't. They signed technical midfielders, which on the surface of it is right. Because if the problem is that Manchester United cannot crack open teams that are rock solid, then let us sign players who are technically gifted to bore you with possession, that can play. And they did so. But what they got wrong is that the guy who was picking up the headers is leaving the team. And so for the team to, before the team will gel up and for your technical midfielders to pick up their game and get their gear on point and be able to give you that free-flowing, mouth-watering football, you need somebody to be picking the headers now for you until you don't need them again. And without Casemiro, Manchester United is now struggling to score. See, let us not downplay the 9 goals Casemiro scored last season. The 3 forwards of Manchester United, they scored 11, and I think 10. Now Casemiro scored 9 as a defensive midfielder. If you want to understand it very well, look at it this way: that the front men scored 11, and 10. And he scored 9 as a defensive midfielder. And all of these goals significantly added points to Manchester United. It is worthy of noting that these goals significantly added points to Manchester United's tally in securing the 3rd position. And we cannot downplay it. So Manchester United has to sign someone who can bring that aerial dominance to Manchester United. I think to some extent Harry Maguire has it. To some extent Benjamin Sesko has it. But we still need to recognize that when both of them were there last season, it was Casemiro who was picking the headers. So there's something significantly about Casemiro they need to replace. And in any case, any serious team, you should have about 4 players who have the quality of picking up headers for you. So when you go to Arsenal, Christian Mosquera, William Saliba, there's a certain Gabriel, there's a certain Gabriel, there's Victor Gyökeres. All of these players are able to pick up headers. Mikel Merino will also pick it up. But so if you have just 3, it may not be enough. It is just not enough. It is just not enough. And so you would have to do significantly more than that. I am thinking that instead of, you see, there's been so the solution is that I think Manchester United should sign a tall centre back who can play, can defend very well, who is better than all the defenders in Manchester United. So who is better than Harry Maguire, who is better than Lenny Yoro, who is better than Aiden Heaven, who is better than Lisandro Martinez, who is better than Matthias De Ligt, to sign a quality centre back. They shouldn't sign a left back. I don't think United should sign a left back. And I'll explain. Manchester United conceded 50 goals last season. Manchester United conceded 50 goals last season. But for the sharp attack of the team, United wouldn't have qualified for the Champions League. The attack scored so many goals that the leakages at the back became insignificant. So now that we are entering a new season, it is important Manchester United recognizes that the defense will have to be fixed, because their own legend, Sir Alex Ferguson, said that attacks will win you matches, but defense would win you trophies. And from what Spain has taught us, even the jogo de position, the pioneers of the jogo de position are aggressively defending with possession. I think that there's a problem with the Manchester United defense. Then the first one is the injuries. The first one is the injuries. The second one is the quality. The third one is the chemistry. So injuries, uh, Matthias De Ligt and Lisandro Martinez are, very good centre backs, but they often get injured. Now the quality of some of the centre backs, Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, the quality is low. So they need somebody who doesn't get injured frequently, who's not an injury-prone person, but whose quality is also high to come into the squad. Then the third reason is the chemistry. You play Aiden Heaven and Lenny Euro, and then you see that the mistakes are too much. Yes, so you need to find someone who gel through both both lengths of the team, regardless of who is playing with. But this is why I need United to sign a centre back instead of a left back. If your defense is this terrible that you concede 50 goals in a season, you concede 50 goals in a 38 game season, it means you concede almost 1.5 goals every single game, which is very terrible for a team like Manchester United. You need to strengthen the defense. At this point, it is not your job to play attacking fullbacks. So you need to play 3 centre backs and play 1 fullback who will probably help you in attack. In any case, let us ask ourselves, what kind of attacking contributions do the fullbacks in Manchester United provide? Luke Shaw? No. Diogo Dalot? No. Nozie Mazraoui? No. So instead of playing these people who do not contribute significantly to your attack, why don't you play a flat centre back on the left back position? And Mikel Arteta has done it for us to see. He has played Ricardo Calafiori, Pierre Hincapié, both of them at full left back position. Ben White was a centre back before he brought him to right back. So at a point in time, Mikel Arteta was playing 4 flat centre backs just to make sure his defense is rock solid, just to make sure he will not concede from any flimsy opportunity. So Manchester United can also go on that tangent. Play 3 centre backs and 1 fullback. And that solves the problem of the left back position for you, because now you would have Lisandro Martinez who can play on the left back. You would have Aiden Heaven who can also play on the left back as a centre back playing on the left back. And you would have a certain Luke Shaw who can also play there. In worst cases, you can bring in Harry Amas to also play there. That's fine. That's fair. So Manchester United needs a tall centre back who will pick up aerial balls for them, and also come and defend in centre back so that they can have an extra centre back playing in the left back position. And for me, it is very, very important we take note of that. Good. That is my solution to the problem. But I think they are busy chasing Alejandro Balde to see if they can bring Alejandro Balde to the Old Trafford. But if they will listen to me, they should rather sign a centre back. That would make their defense much more solid. It will save them from a lot of trouble and a lot of explanation. Now, Michael Carrick tried. You see that when he started his preseason, to solve this problem of Manchester United being unable to open up high defensive teams, they tried to play in a very fine possessive football. So in the preseason against Wrexham, Rosenborg, Leeds United, they were playing some very fine football where they were able to dominate, possess, and all of that. Even against PSG, Manchester United played very, very well. So Michael Carrick's understanding is that to beat this problem, we have to use the long way. We cannot use the shortcut. But I think they should first get a shortcut whilst they build the long cut. Because before you finish cooking up the long cuts or the long road, by now the supporters would have finished you. And so you need to find a way to cut it short. But all in all, I think that the possessive game is progressing very well for Michael Carrick. His team is able to play in a telepathic movement. There's chemistry. There's a nice exchange of play among the players, and for me, it's exciting to watch. However, it is not exciting if it does not bring results, and so it has to bring results. Like I said, That is the main reason why he decided to sign passes André Santos and Yuri Telemans. That is the main reason why he brought them, to make sure that they are able to play penetrative passes even when the team is sitting in a block. And yesterday when we saw that Hull City was sitting in a 5-back formation, a 5-back that potentially could swing into 6-back intermittently during the game, we felt that Manchester United felt short of ways and means to defend against this particular side. Now, my biggest problem yesterday was how Manchester United defended against set pieces. So United conceded 2 set pieces in the game. They conceded 2 set pieces in the game. One was a corner kick, the other one was a free kick. And I've never seen this kind of defense anywhere, where a team is defending a set piece and one half of their goal is empty. So all the players have assembled themselves in one part of the goal, the right-hand side. The ball falls on the left-hand side in front of the goal, and there's nobody to clear. The goalkeeper does his job, saves the team at the first attempt. The second, then there's nobody to clear the ball from that entire area. It is pathetic. It is sad to note. And I'm asking that now we have questions that what was the playbook? What was the plan of the set piece coach? What was the plan? Because from what we know, during corner kicks, teams, we have tall players and then we have short players. So usually the tall players defend the zone. Then the short players will defend the players or the attacking players. So the short players would mark the attacking players. Yes, will mark them 1-1. Then the tall players would defend the zones. So the zones are the area of the first pool, then the area in front of the goalkeeper, then the area on the last pool. So these top players would arrange themselves on that straight line, and then the short players would mark the other players to make sure that in every area there's a person with aerial presence there, while the short players are marking the players, obstructing them, making sure the attacking players do not easily reach the ball. There are top players who are free to pounce on the ball and clear. So how is it possible that for an entire area there was nobody there? And it is sad to notice. I've seen a lot of people talking about the way Maguire himself was marking Nozdie Mazraoui and all of that. I think Maguire played very well beyond that in the team. In the game, he played very, very well for Manchester United beyond that. But that was a clear-cut error on their part between himself and Nozdie Mazraoui. In fact, Mazraoui was even moving into the position to clear, but senior man Maguire was still holding on to him. And so I am shocked at the way Manchester United defended. And they would have to do more than the defense. And when we are playing football has evolved to the extent that you can't have one part of your goal being exposed easily like that. That is why even in the open play, what we encourage is that these days we've got inverted fullbacks. These days we've got we encourage fullbacks to wingers to cut in and all of that, just so you cannot be outnumbered in the middle, just so you would have numbers to give you cover in front of your pole, to give you the space in front of your pole, to give you some level of cover. And so it does not make any sense to me. It does not make any sense to me to find out that an entire half of the pool has been neglected and left open for players to pounce on. Then we have a free kick. Against Manchester United, and even the line that they set for me was too low. Where Manchester United defenders set the line was too low in and of itself. And so when the ball pounced, they could easily drag the ball to the face of Manchester United's goal. Easily. And in that situation, it becomes difficult to defend, looking at the aerial abilities of the centre-backs of Hull City. And both goals were scored by centre-backs. And so I'm sure you will not be surprised in that regard. This has been ASK Morgan Sports. Thank you so much for listening. Please like the video, share the video with your family and friends, and please don't forget to follow us on TikTok, subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Go to the comment section and tell us what you think about our work. This is ASK Morgan Sports, and thank you so much for watching.